the biblical question. How do we love God? Isn't that a good question? How do we love God? Yes, sir.
Can you love God and still have an ego?
Absolutely.
You can.
Yeah.
How does that work? But how are you putting God first then, right? Because your ego is going to put itself first.
Because when you recognize that you can't get rid of your own ego, that it's a spirit that made a home in you, and there's nothing you can do about it, rather than being frustrated and judging yourself, but to accept that there's nothing you can do about it. Then once you enter into the kingdom of heaven, God will destroy the ego because it's a spirit. And there's nothing we can do about spiritual things. And so prior to God, prior to you returning to the Father, you don't have anyone or anything to defeat the ego. Right. And all of us have tried, to make ourselves better, to overcome, but it doesn't happen that way. But once you return to the Father, He will destroy the ego because the ego becomes subject to Him. And before that, the ego is subject to the body to the ego. But once God comes into the picture, the ego is subject to God, and the light will kill the darkness. But you got to stop judging yourself and trying to fight it.
Yeah.
That makes sense?
Yeah.
Just think about the people who committed suicide because they were told that, oh, you're alcoholic, you're a drug addict, you're this or you're that. And they became, angrier at that. And they just felt like life was over because they tried to get it right. No one told them that it was of the heart. They've been telling them it's of the body part. You need to fix your body part. You're sinning. And so most people fight trying to overcome that, but it's about the heart. The heart has to change. And that's what the power is. It's about love, as you were saying. It really is about love. So stop trying. It's about the heart. Keep an eye on your heart. That makes sense?
It does.
Have you ever thought about that maybe someone had lied to you? It's all in the Bible. I'm not making this up. Nowhere in the Bible does it say, he mentioned the commandments, I believe. Nowhere in the Bible says keeping the commandment breaking the commandment is a sin. It doesn't say that. But in the world, the focus is on keeping the commandment. Don't lie, don't steal, don't do this. And everybody breaking the commandment. Because we can't even keep the commandments until we return to the Father. We are a spirit, and everything we do is spiritual. That's why we have to be subject to God. Otherwise, we're subject to Satan. What?
No, that's good. I'm just thinking.
It should be a relief to know that you don't have to fight that. You can't change that.
It's a relief to know, but at the same time, there's something that just doesn't want to let go.
Satan doesn't want to let go.
Yeah, I know.
And just think about this. Think about how many years you've been on this earth and you've been told it's wrong to be this way, it's wrong to be that way, and you've tried to change yourself. You have not been able to.
45 years.
Yeah, and you have not been able to change yourself. Have you noticed that?
I have noticed that.
Yeah. And so I remember I had been told the same thing. Change yourself. You can change it, right? It's wrong to be this way. It's wrong to be that way. It's wrong to do this. Give me the impression I needed to change it. And it wasn't until I realized I can't change this. This is crazy. I'm tired of it. I can't change it. And when I gave up, that's when things start to happen. But as long as you're trying to change it, nothing's going to happen. You'll get worse.
I've noticed that.
Do y'all understand that? You can't change yourself. When God said, of ourselves we can do nothing, and of ourselves we can know nothing, all we have to do is admit that we are that. I'm a hateful man, fallen being, right? When you admit that, that's the sin. I'm a hateful man, you're playing God. Once you admit it, that's all He needs from you. Go and forgive, you'll be fine. Then you'll be fine, you'll wake up. That make sense?
Yes.
So stop fighting it.
I know.
Stop fighting it. Nick, the anchor baby. Everybody know the anchor baby, right? You love God, Nick?
No.
And okay, so you don't know how to do it since you don't.
Well, the question is, how do we love God, right?
Yeah.
You were telling me something about myself, right? And you know how when you tell someone something about people, they get like, oh, like I'll stop telling the truth about myself.
Right.
You know, like it bothers people, right?
Right.
And so I was kind of in that a little bit. But then there was a moment where someone asked about, can you love God even though you have an ego still? And you told them that when you realize that you can't remove that ego, and that you just live your life kind of this fully, the ups, the downs,
Yeah.
that's, at least, I feel like that's what you're going to say, that's loving God. And so when you mentioned that, it was all gone.
Oh,
And I was
okay.
like, man, I've been there before, and I've done that before. I don't know if I do it fully, so I don't know if I can say I fully love God, but I think I'm starting to understand what you're saying about how do we love God.
Amazing. The one thing I do want to tell you, that God's love, you cannot imagine what it's like. Really, you can't even begin to think what it's like. And when we talk about it, Satan try to put words to it or define it for you, it's all lies. It's nothing like what we, as my friend was saying, that we can't, it's nothing like what we think that it is. But yet, it is amazing. It's everything you need in life, because God is love, right? And it's everything that you need in life. It's unlike emotional love, because emotional love is evil. Emotional love comes from hate. That's why it's up and down. I love you until you say something wrong to me or do something wrong. Then I don't love you. I love you until you whatever, right? That's not love. But God's love, there's nothing on earth that can change it. No human being. When you really, 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 really love, return to real love, no matter what you go through, you will not change because of the power of love. And you can't feel it, you can't taste it, you can't touch it. Even though you know there is something about it that lets you know it is of God, the energy from it, the life source, and all of that. And the way that, and then I want to read some to you about love. The way we love God is so, and so most of what you all have said is absolutely true. If you love God, you'll keep my commandments. That's even in the Bible. But you can't keep the commandment until you love God. And the way you love God is to be conscious of Him at all times. You got to be conscious. That's why it's so important to sit still so that He can bring you into the present where He is, because Satan is in the past and future. He lied to you about that. But when you are present, you're conscious of God, life is amazing. It's paradise on earth. But if you notice, the moment you go back into your imagination, your thought, it's hell on earth. Have you noticed that? When you're in the presence, everything's fine, no matter what's going on. All is well. But so it's paradise. And so the way you love God is to stay present with Him. Stay out of your thoughts. They're all lies. It's all hell. And when you do, you're going to have paradise on earth, because you know He loves you. And by staying present with Him, you're showing that you love Him. And it's really amazing. There are no words to express it. So I want to encourage you. And yeah, all the things that you talked about, keeping the commandment, the ego, all that is being handled, because it's all spiritual all the time. We are a spirit inside this body, and there's nothing we can do. That's why, and once you really, 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 really realize there's nothing you can do, you're going to give up the fight. You really, and whatever comes, you just have to deal with it. Let God's will be done. So if you all think that I'm wrong about this, I want you to even test it 1 week. This whole week, stay present with God. Stay out of your thoughts. You will see. It's going to be amazing for you. It's just simple as that. And yet, that's the hardest thing to do, because you've been so angry and lost in your head for so long. It's hard to just stay out of your thoughts, right? But if you practice doing it, it will eventually happen more and more, and it'll become natural. Just like you're accustomed to living in your head, you become accustomed to living out of it and living in the presence of God. But you got to stay out of your imagination. That's how you know you love Him. That's why it's so important to do the silent prayer morning and night, and then during the day when you're out there working and doing your things, and just take a moment and look around you. Come back to present. And you're growing in that spiritually, because we are spirit. And he is taking care of the ego and all that stuff. It just starts to disappear. And life gets better and better. You got to stay present. It's like what Samuel was saying earlier. He take that quiet time now. He know that he can't change it. He's watching it. We are the observer. We're not the creator. And you got to stop judging yourself and all that stuff. It just be. And God sent his son for us, man, because we had no way out. We had no way to return to him. And so we were becoming crazy people, prostituting, doing all the wicked things. But he understood that because of because of what Adam and Eve did, we had no way back. So he sent his son to make a way for us to come back. God, God cares about the heart. That's why when you come back to him, he softened the heart. He renewed the heart. And but most people don't realize that salvation is of the heart. He changes the heart, just like that, from hate to love. And then life begins. And then all that other stuff, you see that, you know what? Whatever. He'll take care of it. He loves you because you had no way back. He created us. And the reason he created us to create love through us. And that's why each generation he's trying to get it right. Because we're born into crazy families, right? So we repeat our family. We do what they do. But now that you're waking up and you're coming back to God, you're going to be of love. So when you start your family, your kids will be of love instead of hate. And that's how he started this new edition. If you die with that hate, he doesn't care. He's like, what the? He gave you a way back. He said, go and forgive. If you don't take that way, he'll just let you die, and he'll let somebody else make some more babies, and somebody will eventually get it right. But he loves us. And there's nothing like God's love. You can't even imagine what it's like. You have to live it. All right? Any disagreement with that or any questions about that? No? What? Oh, okay. That makes sense? Oh, good. Stay present. And you're in his presence. And just remember, Satan will try to tempt you to overreact to something, to get mad at yourself or others, so he can bring you out of the present into a false illusion of the future or the past. That's why God said, come into my present. He's right here, right now. There is no tomorrow. There is no yesterday. All you have is right now. Really. Whatever happened yesterday is done. It doesn't even exist except in your mind. And Satan will remind you of it so you can jump off the bridge. God doesn't remind you about yesterday. He never, because it doesn't exist. He doesn't remind you about tomorrow. Just think about that. If he said, take no thought about tomorrow or yesterday, why would he remind you what happened then? You know what I'm saying? He doesn't remind you about yesterday. Only Satan does. So whatever happened yesterday, it's over. Don't let Satan tell you, well, y'all had a fight yesterday. Y'all going to have another one today. He doesn't know that. Have a wait and see attitude about everything. God is with you. All right? So I want to give you the example of what God's love is like. It's everything that, totally opposite of what you think. All right? Do you mind come reading this? Yeah. Okay. You know how to read?
I grew up in the South too, so not very well.
Oh, okay. And when you come to God's love, live in the present, you can't help but do this too. Live this way. You overcome the old way.
Where'd you get this from?
I think I thought it was because it said the New Jerusalem Bible. Don't that mean Jewish? I thought it was a Jew Bible, but somebody told me it's a Catholic Bible. Right? Oh, okay. So read from here to here.
All right.
All right. Why would they call it New Jerusalem if it's Catholic?
I'm not Catholic, so I don't know why they...
Because a Catholic is not a Jew, right?
Yeah, but the church is the new Israel. The church is the new Israel.
What church?
The Christian church, the Christianity, yeah.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah.
That's why they did it.
Yeah.
Okay.
They did it for marketing purposes to sell more books.
That makes sense. Okay. All right, listen, it's so nice.
From the book of Luke. But I say this to you who are listening, love your enemies. Do good to those who hate you. Bless those who curse you. Pray for those who treat you badly. To anyone who slaps you on one cheek, present the other cheek as well. To anyone who takes your cloak from you, do not refuse your tunic. Give to everyone who asks you, and do not ask for your property back from someone who takes it. Treat others as you would like people to treat you. If you love those who love you, what credit can you expect? Even sinners love those who love them. And if you do good to those who do good to you, what credit can you expect? For even sinners do that much. And if you lend to those from whom you hope to get money back, what credit can you expect? Even sinners lend to sinners to get back the same amount. Instead, love your enemies and do good to them, and lend without any hope of a return. You will have great reward, and you will be children of the Most High, for He Himself is kind to the ungrateful and the wicked.
Thank you, man.
Amen.
Amazing.
Amen.
Yeah, give it back to him. That's when you live in the present. Thank you. When you go and forgive, and you enter into the kingdom of heaven within, and you live in the present, you're not going to be able to. That's the only thing you can do, because you only have love. So no matter what happens, you don't even desire to try to get back at the person or to take it personally. You won't be able to, because your house is being made solid. Your foundation is being built on solid love. And I'm telling you, you can't fake this or anything. It is, or it's not. So you got to overcome that anger. And for those who have gone and forgiven their mothers and returned to their father, just stay with the silent prayer. Have no plan about anything. Meaning you don't know how you're going to act in the next situation. You don't know what's going to happen. Have a wait-and-see attitude. But have that quiet time. Turn off your radios. Turn off your computers. Turn off the television. At least a 1 hour a day. And have this solid quiet time. Or when you get in your car, because you were telling me you had went somewhere from one place to another without the radio, right? Somebody was telling me that.
Yeah, and I worked on the car.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Worked on a car for 8 hours and didn't have any music. That's powerful. You have no idea, because with the music thing, you're distracted. But with the quiet thing, you're with God. And you can see Satan trying to tempt you and all that kind of stuff. There's nothing like the quiet time. You need the quiet time. All right? So do the silent prayer, go and forgive, and have some quiet time. Heaven and earth were created in stillness. You got to do it. And as long as your mind is set on God, you're not walking around thinking, my mind is set on God, right? You're just in the present. You're practicing being in the present. And that's about God. Your whole world will change, because he really loves us. But you don't know it if you're in your head. Stay in the present. You guys can give this a try and prove me wrong. Really. This one I want you to. Live in the present for 1 week. Prove me wrong. Okay. You shouldn't do it as a test though, but try it. Amazing church. You had a question, right?
That verse you read about
Love your enemy.
love your enemy, and then you said if somebody takes your stuff, don't ask for it back.
Right.
That sounds like Antifa, kind of like belief, right? Let
Come
them
out
take
your
your
head,
property
man.
and just let them have it, right?
No, not
But
like
I
that.
don't. Yeah.
Yeah, not like that. You'll see, it doesn't mean what Satan is telling you that it means. Because when he said, if somebody takes your stuff, don't ask for it back, I thought of Black Lives Matter right away. I'm like, wow, Black Lives Matter about to take the white people land without compensation? Y'all ain't get it back. So don't ask. But no, it doesn't mean that. Have a wait and see. His ways are not what Satan's been telling you. Not at all. All right? You can't figure this out. You live it. You discover it as you're living it. All right? And his ways are easy. Make sense? You have your hand, Ernest? Yeah. Well, don't blame me if I'm late.
The question I was going to ask you is, so are you saying that we can go in and out of loving God?
When you first wake up, because you've been living in your thoughts for so long, you will drop, like a child, when a child is first born, The child just don't get up and start walking. You know, you're going to fall back into them sometimes, but because you're with the Father, don't judge yourself. Because Satan tell you, oh, you're not with God, right? But you're growing out of them, so if you get back, fall into a thought, don't make it a big deal. Just get up and brush yourself off, laugh about it, and keep on going with life. Do the silent prayer. Stay present. Because you're growing from childhood to adulthood. So be patient with that. Yeah. All right?